Think back to Christmas morning in your childhood. The excitement, the wonder, the traditions that made the season feel truly magical. The holidays of the 1960s and the 1970s were filled with customs that have quietly slipped away, replaced by modern conveniences. Let's journey through 15 beloved traditions that shaped Christmas for an entire generation. Christmas TV specials that stopped the world. Picture this: entire neighborhoods going silent as families gathered around their television sets. In the 1960s and the 1970s, holiday specials like A Charlie Brown Christmas were not just shows, they were events. More than half of all American homes would tune in simultaneously, creating a shared national moment. Children counted down the days until Snoopy appeared on screen, while parents savored stories with genuine heart. Today's endless streaming options have made such unified experiences nearly impossible to recreate. The enchantment of real candles. Before electric lights dominated, a few brave families in the 60s still practiced the ancient tradition of placing real candles on their Christmas trees. For just a few precious moments each evening, they would light them carefully, transforming their living room into something otherworldly. The flickering flames created shadows that danced across walls, and the warm glow felt alive in a way that modern lights never quite capture. By the mid-70s, safety concerns had made this practice nearly extinct, but those who remember it speak of an enchantment that cannot be replicated. Retail giants like Macy's and Sears didn't just sell products, they created experiences. Throughout the 60s, department stores hosted elaborate Christmas festivities, complete with puppet theaters, costumed characters, and lavish decorations. Children dressed in their finest clothes for these outings, and the whole experience felt like stepping into a winter wonderland. Meeting Santa in these grand settings was ceremonial, almost sacred. When suburban malls emerged in the 80s, these elaborate in-store celebrations faded, replaced by generic shopping center Santas seated in plastic grottos. Before digital greetings and pre-printed cards dominated, families spent evenings creating Christmas cards by hand. Parents and children worked together, cutting construction paper, drawing winter scenes, and penning personal messages to every recipient. Each card was unique, a small work of art that showed someone you had invested time in thinking of them. Americans sent over 3 billion cards during the season, many of them lovingly handmade. Today's quick text messages and e-cards are efficient, but they lack the soul of something created with your own hands. The miniature railway circling the tree. In countless living rooms throughout the 60s and 70s, a toy train set its course around the base of the Christmas tree. Children would lie on the floor for hours, mesmerized by the carriages making their endless journey through a miniature winter village. These weren't mere toys. They represented something deeper about the season, perhaps the journey home, or the magic of movement and possibility. Train sets from the 1920s had become treasured heirlooms by the 70s. As electronic games emerged, the humble Christmas train gradually disappeared from beneath our trees. Christmas markets, the original holiday shopping. Long before shopping malls, outdoor Christmas markets were where communities gathered. In the 1960s and the early 1970s, these markets featured wooden stalls selling handcrafted ornaments, homemade preserves, carved toys, and spiced treats. The air smelled of cinnamon and pine. People meandered slowly, stopping to chat with neighbors and sipping hot cider, while browsing one-of-a-kind gifts. When enclosed malls proliferated in the mid-1970s, these charming markets largely vanished, taking with them the communal joy of holiday shopping. Carolers arriving at your doorstep. On cold December evenings in the 70s, you might hear voices approaching from down the street. Opening your door, you would find a group of neighbors, often in scarves and mittens, singing "O Holy Night" or "The First Noel." This medieval tradition created spontaneous moments of connection between families. Children would peek around their parents to watch in wonder, and hosts often invited singers in for hot chocolate. As suburban life became more insular, this door-to-door tradition quietly disappeared, leaving streets silent on winter nights. Nothing says space age Christmas quite like the metallic aluminum trees that dominated 60s decor. Introduced in 1958, these futuristic trees with their silver branches represented optimism and modernity. They required no watering, dropped no needles, and caught light beautifully. Store windows gleamed with them. But their popularity crashed almost instantly after 1965, when a Charlie Brown Christmas portrayed them as symbols of holiday commercialization. What was cutting edge one year became past the next, and aluminum trees vanished as quickly as they had appeared. Welcoming guests with festive punch bowls. Holiday gatherings in the 1960s and the 1970s began with ceremonial drinks served from ornate punch bowls. Eggnog, thick, spiced, and often spiked with bourbon for adults, was the star. Hosts would ladle it into small cups, topping each with fresh nutmeg. Other punches contained citrus, cranberries, and warm spices that perfumed entire rooms. This tradition stretched back centuries, but by the 1980s, convenience took over. Bottled sodas and pre-mixed cocktails replaced the ritual of the punch bowl, and something convivial was lost in the trade. Living room theatrical productions. Before every home had multiple screens, families created their own entertainment. In the 1960s, it was common for households to stage Christmas plays in their living rooms. Children dressed as elves or angels, parents narrated, and grandparents sat as the audience. Scripts were simple, often just stories about Santa's workshop, but the shared creativity and laughter made them memorable. When television ownership reached 90% in the early 1970s, and VCRs arrived shortly after, these homespun productions faded. Why create a show when you could watch one? Making decorations. Together, there was something profoundly satisfying about creating your own Christmas decorations. Families in the 1960s and the 1970s would spend evenings stringing popcorn and cranberries into long garlands, or carefully draping tinsel strand by strand. Children's small hands helped thread the popcorn, while parents managed the needles. These handmade creations gave trees personality and warmth. When inexpensive plastic decorations flooded stores, handmade ornaments seemed quaint by comparison. We gained convenience, but we sacrificed the intimate creativity that made each tree truly unique. The magic of Coca-Cola's illuminated caravans. Few things captured childhood imagination quite like Coca-Cola's Christmas caravans. These glowing trucks, draped in thousands of lights, would parade through towns, transforming ordinary streets into something magical. Children pressed against windows, hoping to glimpse them, and seeing the caravan felt like proof that Christmas was real. The tradition began in the 1950s, but it reached its peak in the 1970s. When the 1980s brought new marketing strategies, these luminous caravans gradually disappeared, leaving only memories of those enchanted evenings. When reindeer were real, not robotic. City parks and holiday parades in the 60s and 70s featured something extraordinary: live reindeer. Children could approach these majestic animals, their breath visible in the cold air as Santa greeted crowds. Some zoos even rented reindeer for public events. There was something irreplaceable about seeing these creatures in person, connecting the story of Christmas to tangible reality. Today, animatronic reindeer move more reliably and require less care, but they cannot replicate the AWE of encountering a living animal from Santa's team. The arrival of the Sears Christmas Wishbook and the Montgomery Ward catalog was an event unto itself. In the 60s and 70s, these thick catalogs appeared in mailboxes each fall, and children treasured them like sacred texts. Families gathered to page through hundreds of toy listings, with kids circling their dream gifts in pencil. Parents used them to plan budgets, and to understand what children desired. When Montgomery Ward closed in 1985 and Sears discontinued its wishbook in the 90s, a cherished pre-Christmas ritual disappeared along with them. These forgotten customs remind us that Christmas was once slower, more handmade, and deeply communal. Which of these lost traditions would you resurrect? Perhaps the real question is, what are we creating today that future generations will remember with the same wistful nostalgia?